Hello, friends, and welcome to the Gaytheist Manifesto. This week, we're observing the Transgender Day of Remembrance. Today, we remember those members of our community who've been lost to anti-trans violence. The Transgender Day of Remembrance was started in 1999 by transgender advocate Gwendolyn Ann Smith as a vigil to honor the memory of Rita Hester, a trans woman who was killed in 1998. The vigil commemorated all the transgender people lost to violence since Rita Hester's death and began an important tradition that's become the annual Transgender Day of Remembrance. This week, we're bringing you reflections on this Day of Remembrance from members of our community. First up is Trav Mamone. They're a dear friend, fellow podcaster, and activist. They wrote a poem for the occasion.
Here's to lying to mothers, fathers, sons, daughters, friends, lovers. Here's to crying in locker rooms, bathrooms, homerooms, living rooms, and bedrooms. Here's to thinking of dying. Here's to finding, there's a word for that? Here's to trying forbidden clothes. Here's to eyeing nosy dressing room attendants. Here's to realizing the truth. Here's to crying, this is me. Here's to realizing blood don't mean shit. Here's to eyeing the blade, the gun, the noose, the pills. Here's to finding family among freaks, geeks, sissies, butches, mammy-pammy, he's, she's, they's, us. Here's to relying on open homes, open doors, open hands, open minds, open hearts. Here's to defying the numbers, figures, stats, bets, odds, and sods stacked like rocks thrown against us. Here's to surviving.
And Marissa McCool is, of course, another dear friend, podcaster, and activist.
Last year on this day, I was only coming to terms with being public about my real identity. I was in the middle of writing a book that would inevitably kick down my closet door for good, but I had yet to make my first public appearance under my real name, which I did on this show nearly 1 year ago. I used to let days like these pass by, lamenting that I would never be able to truly be myself. Several things kick-started the process. The second victim listed under the Pulse massacre, having the last name McCool. Having the epiphany and standing up to Pastor Carl. The election, the PC lie. I look back now realizing just how many excuses I made in order to stay in hiding. Callie said it in one of my favorite interviews of all time with Dan Arrell, that simply existing right now can be an act of revolution. The other side of that coin is the risk that we face by being as visible as we are. What may be harder than having a Trans Day of Remembrance is that we still have to. Stories of people being murdered for simply existing in the way that we found empowering checks my relationship with reality and the dangers that we face every single day. The most horrific things that can happen to a person being perpetuated by awful people, and the debate is about whether or not it's a hate crime, or whether or not we brought it on ourselves by offending them for existing in the same space that we do. Me Too was a popular hashtag this year for surviving sexual harassment and assault, but an added dimension for trans people could be times that we were intimidated into hiding or silence with these stories of threats and of violence. There's no easy way to escape this fact. We are targets. And not only are we targets, but like the Me Too stories, some people will go out of their way to find a way to blame us for getting murdered, rather than the people who did it themselves. Callie and I started a visibility network for the sake of helping others be visible. But there is a relative privilege that comes along with being able to do that. Our radical vulnerability can be used against us, and it invites the commentary of people who feel they have a right to spew their hatred and shitty opinions on our posts and pictures. Then some of us end up doing it to ourselves. We can't fight against gatekeeping and then do it to others in our own community. We have to check ourselves. We have to make sure we're not leaving others out in the community, or being binary exclusive, or judging people for not being trans enough, or for being too trans. How can we ever hope to get anywhere if we're willing to throw our own under the bus because we think they'll make us look bad? Isn't that the very thing we've been fighting against all this time? We can't all afford to medically transition. We can't all afford surgery. We can't all afford to be visible. We aren't all safe being visible. We can't all help certain things that health or genetics have dealt against us. We can't all stealth it. We all don't have the strength to insist on our proper names and pronouns. Today I remember those who were abandoned by their own for the sake of compromise or trying to appear more normal to mainstream cis society. Today I remember those who didn't have a word for who they were or were never allowed to have that acknowledged. Today I remember those who were left behind. Today I remember those who had the goalposts moved on them by the very people fighting against that behavior. And I remember those who were murdered for existing. May we make our world safer for the next generation of trans children so that they don't have to walk down the street wondering if the person walking at them heard something on Alex Jones and are just waiting for the chance to take it out on the first trans person they see. May we leave the world better than we found it, and also not be complicit in making it more difficult for others to access it.
One important tradition of the Transgender Day of Remembrance is the reading of the names. It's important that we remember these are not just names on a page. These are not just statistics. These were human beings, complex and wonderful, full of life and love and hope and fear, same as any of us. They had their light snuffed out, in whole or in part because of who they are. The least we can do is remember and honor them as we work to end the violence against our community.
Sophia Mylan Santillan, A. Viagas, Cindy Crawford Ravelin, Pamela Tabarez, Aileen, Janijo Damanguera, Paola Brasho, Michelle Rios, Patricia Arojo, Dandera, name unknown, M. Diaz Machado, Will Hilary Silva, name unknown, R. Da Silva de Sa, G. Kino de Godoy,
D. D'Souza, J.R.T. Gomes, Gabriel Gomes, F. Braz, Paula Rayo Lecer, J. Kellen, Flavia Victoria Lima, Elsie Marino, W.H. Sares dos Santos, Mirella da Silva, Moranguinho, Agatha Leos, Sandra, Lady Diana, J.A. dos Santos, Paula Oliveira, name unknown, Agatha Mont, name unknown, Dandara dos Santos,
name unknown, A. de Silva Maciel, Mireya de Castro, Camila de Souza Magales, Emmanuel Muñiz, Lorraine, Z. Morocos, Michelle Garcia, name unknown, Ruby, Sandra, Jennifer Celia Enrique, name unknown, Lexia, Camilla Albuquerque, Brunina, Paula, Paulina, Wilka, name unknown, name unknown.
R. Felix da Silva, Bianca Goncalves, Camila, Vitoria Castro, Erika Isidorio, name unknown, Gabi, name unknown, Sami Guimares, Maruni, A. Ribeiro Marcosone, Eloa Silva, name unknown, Wilka, Lisa Melo, name unknown, Samaeli, Sofia Castro, C.A. Lima da Silva, R.C. Silva Pereira, Thadao Nascimento,
Jennifer, Fernanda, Cheyenne, Ketlin, name unknown, Pamela, Lala, Grace Kelly, Joyce Jane Padilla, Sheila Medeiros, Larissa Mora, Natasha, A. Alves Nascimento, Natasha. Name unknown. Hinata Vera. E. Shine. Julao Petrok. Name unknown.
Barbara. Name unknown. Camille Victoria. Denise. C. Barroso de Oliveira. Nicole Santos. Ne Oliveira. Salome Bracho. Tabata Brandao. Carla. Lola. Rayanne. Larissa. Vicky Spears. Anna Sophia. Bruno dos Santos. Kawa. Tyler. Sophia. Michelle. Leona Albuquerque.
Camila Guedes. Gil Perea da Costa. Gabriela Sosa. E.A. da Silva. Name unknown. Natalia Pimentel. Aurinete. Name unknown. Mary Montilla. Charlie Ann. Bruna Laclose. Paulina. I.J. Gomez da Silva. Diana. Evelyn Ferrari. Lily. Danielle Jesus Lafon. Flavia. Rai. Ana Carolina Nascimento.
Nicole, Alessandra, Bruna Montero, Lorraine, Larissa Paiva, Safira, name unknown, Anna Kuti, Kalyan, Spencer, DRP, Pamela, Donnie Zin, Raisa, Lou Brasil, Renatha Lemos, Natalia, Cece Tibert,
Anissa Valenzuela. Alejandro Polanco Botero. Viquiche. Silvane Fabian Pinada. Angelo Ramos. Name unknown. C. Camilo Valencia. Mafe Rojas Camilo. Andrea Chaguendo Suarez. Juliana Orego Unsalve. Maviles Trujillo. Kenicha.
Jessica Ruby Mori. Carolina Alexis Zapata. W. Fabrizio Ponce. Name unknown. Name unknown. T.A. Orellana. D. Rodriguez. Elizabeth. Name unknown. Misty. Sherlyn Montoya. Tato Eduardo Ayestas.
Vasu Swami. Shama. Kajal. Unnamed person. Mira. Name unknown. Ania Camacho Rodriguez. Name unknown. Michelle de la Cruz Gonzalez. Name unknown. JCN. Name unknown. Anaí Tapia Llamas.
name unknown, name unknown, Bianca Yanez, name unknown, name unknown, H. Ramirez Calderon, Paula, Monse Morga Javier, Yadira Lopez Marroquin, name unknown, Ivana Landucci, Jennifer Lopez, Caricia, name unknown, name unknown, Fernanda Tavita Montes, Denise De Leon, Kenya, Adriana Cruz Serrano,
Name unknown. Name unknown. Claudia Munoz Garcia. Name unknown. Name unknown. Name unknown. La Chapapota. Cristal. Name unknown. Name unknown. La Peluchina. Name unknown. Name unknown. Name unknown. Mendez Chuevas. Name unknown. Manuela. Brenda Morijo Alba. Name unknown.
Bianca, Imli, Muskan, Sitara, Sufed, Chanda, Shamili. Name unknown. Hart de Chavez, JRP Mangali. Name unknown. Charlotte Okoyas La Pasaran Longriano. Jayan, JRP Manjalili.
Name unknown. Amna. Mino. Sile. Madeline Delbaum. Ying. Puriwit Chanasit. King. Nampaung. PJ. Rape.
India Monroe, Misha Caldwell, Jamie Lee Wounded Arrow, Jojo Stryker, Jaquarius Holland, Tiara Richmond, China Gibson, Ciara McElveen, Alfonso Watson, Kenny McFadden, Shay Reed, Kenneth Bostic, Sherelle Faulkner, Kendra Adams, Ebony Morgan, T.T. Dangerfield, Guinevere River Song, Kiwi Herring, Derica Banner,
Allie Lee Steinfield. Stephanie Montez. Candace Towns. Alexandra Pena Viscalia. Name unknown. Alejandra Diaz. Name unknown. Name unknown.
I get asked pretty often where I find my hope. And I want to preface my answer to this with the acknowledgement of my own privilege. My day-to-day life is not a struggle to survive, so even in my worst moments, it's probably easier for me than it is for many others to find hope. That being said, here's where I find it. I find it in trans selfie threads. I find it in people gleefully posting their transition progress pictures. I find it in trans people asserting their identities, setting boundaries on how they're to be treated, telling others, these are my pronouns, this is who I am, and this is non-negotiable. I find it in people having the courage to ask for love and support. I find it in trans folks with struggles of their own, giving of themselves to make the world a little brighter for others. Many of us have frankly stopped waiting on the outside world to take care of us. We've decided we're just going to take care of each other. We trade our spare change back and forth across fundraisers that shouldn't need to exist. We give love and affirmation that we shouldn't be missing, even when we ourselves need it just as badly. We stand ready to love on and lift up those who we've never even met or talked to before, because that's who we are. As a community, we're defined by many things. And too often, I think society, even in progressive circles, defines us more by our struggles than our triumphs. And I think our triumphs are equally as important, if not more so. I see more and more of us feeling empowered to assert control over our lives. I see more and more allies stepping forward and offering their love and support. And this isn't meant to be all sunshine and roses, right? I'm not trying to blow sunshine up anyone's ass here. I'd be lying if I didn't acknowledge how shitty a place the world still is for trans folks, especially trans people of color. We can't lose sight of that. If there's a silver lining to all the awful political shit happening in our country right now, it's that it's emboldened some of us to step forward and use our voices even more forcefully than we were before. I see people with every reason to hide stepping out proudly into the light of day. And if you're not one of those people that's feeling this new and improved sense of empowerment, I want to make it clear this isn't meant to shame you or dismiss your experience. Indeed, this is a call to arms for those of us who are that kind of safe, to go out into the world and to make it safe for you to step forward. It's not okay for anyone to shame you because you don't feel safe coming out at work or to your parents or even social media. It's not your obligation to step out and put yourself in danger for the cause. I don't believe that an attitude of hope and empowerment is necessarily at odds with a sense of fear about our present situation and what's at stake for us in the future. I actually see great reasons for both of these feelings, and I don't think anyone's wrong for feeling any degree or combination of either. To our allies, my call to action is this: fucking love us. Fucking love us. This means making space for us in society. This means not laughing at that shitty gay joke your coworker told. This means speaking up on our behalf when and where you can, even when we're not around. This means calling lawmakers on our behalf. This means giving time and money, if you have it, to organizations that are working to keep us safe. To my fellow trans people, keep fucking being you, because you're beautiful and amazing, even when you don't feel like it, especially when people in power tell you you're not. You're resilient, even when you don't feel like it. You're valid and you're necessary, even when you don't feel like it. Just being real, there comes a time when we all need to step back and step away, and we need to lay our burdens down and let others pick up where we left them, at least for a time. But know that every time I set that burden down, my thoughts are immediately on how quickly I can pick this back up and help you carry this burden that we all, to some degree, bear. We may not always be able to count on the outside world for help. Just being real, we often can't even count on some members of our own community for help. But it's here. With Ari and I, with Marissa and Trav, with many other members of this amazing little trans and atheist podcasting community we have. I want you to know that if you're lost, you're hurting, you're scared, if you feel like no one cares and no one understands, you need to know there's a community out here that loves you, cares for you, knows that you're capable of amazing things and that you are worthy of love. If you're struggling, please don't be afraid to reach out. Until next time, friends, this is the Gaytheist Manifesto.